My name is Brian Anderson, and I'm the Executive Director of the Growth Partnership. I wanted to welcome you all here for our January installment of our Profiles Breakfast. I also wanted to go ahead before we get started and thank our various sponsors for this series that makes it possible. Obviously, Kent State, Leadership Ashtabula, and the Star Beacon. It's been a very good partnership, and obviously I've been very impressed in the couple that I've been able to be a part of, the turnout that we get here and the different people and organizations that are represented. Our speaker today is Mick Prochko. Mick, along with his wife Kay and son Steve, own and operate Covered Bridge Gardens located in Jefferson. The farm has been in their family for over 3 generations and today produces over 45 acres of fresh market vegetables. Their produce is delivered to farmers markets across Northeast Ohio, including the Bridge Street Farmers Market here in Ashtabula. The farm also provides consumer-supported agriculture to over 300 families. For those unfamiliar with CSAs, it is a fast-growing movement nationally and here locally that allows individuals and families to pay in advance and purchase seasonal produce direct from local farmers. It's another example of everything that is old is new again as people begin to get in touch with all of the resources and things that we can produce in our own backyard instead of having them shipped halfway across the continent to get to our kitchens and store shelves. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Mick.
Thank you, Brian. I want to welcome everybody here, and if I knew Brian was going to do that great a job, I would have just clicked the slides as he left, because that's my speech. Thank you. Have a nice day. Come back again. Next, when his turn, and I'll do the same thing for him. Like he said, I'm Mick Prochko. I'm from Covered Bridge Gardens in Jefferson. We've been there, again, since 1934. And I'm just going to go through a little history of the farm, and then we'll go and talk about some of the things that we do. This is a picture of my dad and myself. The cute guy and the little guy there, that's obviously me. My grandparents and my father. Actually, the farm started off as a general farm, and in the late 40s and early 50s, my dad decided to raise pansies. Hauled them in the west side and east side markets in Cleveland, and did that for a number of years. And then we got the bright idea we just thought of getting a dairy business. Well, that lasted until 1999. And there, picture my son Steve and myself when we were milking cows up until 1999. We got out of the business. My son Steve was going to Delaware Valley College in eastern Pennsylvania, getting his degree in dairy science. We sold the cows, and he decided we ought to go into vegetable business because one of his buddies from New Jersey, they're real close to the New Jersey line there, had a truck farm. His parents had a truck farm, and he went out and bought this really nice $30,000 car in 2000 and decided that's what we ought to do because he paid cash for it. Slightly different market. New York City is a slightly different market than Ashtabula or Cleveland. So then we decided to start Covered Bridge Gardens, which we started in 2000. This is a more recent picture because the cat's just a little older. But we started it in 2000, and this is what we first had. This is about a 1-acre parcel. You had tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers and I think more peppers back over there. And we just started growing stuff and figuring we could, if we're going to grow it, everybody's going to want it. Well, that first year we harvested, I had my in-laws come up, and we spent Labor Day weekend packing tomatoes in 10-pound boxes, hauled them down to the auction in Middlefield, and got $1.25 a box for them. I said, it ain't gonna happen. I mean, I can count, and I thought we spent all weekend, and the only good thing I got about it, my in-laws said they were never coming back again. So, yeah, we hauled it down there and said, we've got to do something different, which we did. And we had gone to, there's a vegetable growers convention, Ohio Vegetable Growers. At that time it was in Toledo. We went there. We met Danita Anderson, who was, she was the head of the Shaker Farmers Market System, North Union Farmer Market System. And my wife Kay talked to her and decided that maybe we ought to get into the farmers markets. So with that in mind, oh, and this is my son, this is how we do a lot of stuff too, going along with the way it originally started. We do plant a lot of stuff by hand still. And here he's planting onions. If you ever wonder why things are expensive at a farmer's market, come out and work with me for a day and you'll find out. So we decided we needed to do more, we had to tile. We're blessed with really tight ground, really tight soils. If you don't tile them, it's not like you're in the sand. A lot of the truck farms are in sandy soils. They don't need to tile. It rains, nobody cares. They want the rain. Friends over in Perry, they irrigate every day regardless of whether it rains or not because they're on the sand. So we had to start by tiling. And then we had to buy new equipment. Now this is a 10-foot tiller that we need, and I'll show you why in a minute. That's to till the soil before we lay the plastic. Now we're on beds. We're on raised beds, which means that we build a bed and then cover it with plastic and then plant into the plastic. But before we can do that, we need to go to the greenhouse, and we have sets. We get our sets from the greenhouse. We use either Middle Ridge Gardens or Cusars in Jefferson. They raise our sets for us, and each one of these trays contains 72 plants, either 48 or 72. All right, so we take them home, break them up, and that's what you see the kids doing. They have to break the cells. You break them up so you can pull them out of the cells so you can plant them. And then this is the planter that we use right here. You have two people sit on the back of them. The commander-in-chief, drives, because it's very difficult to drive that tractor straight at 0 miles an hour. Two people sit on the back, they pull the cells off. There's a water wheel right here. Water tank and water wheel right there. The water runs down into the wheel as it goes across the plastic, punches a hole in the plastic, and the people stand there and they push the sets into the holes in the plastic. That's the way we get most of our, as you can see here, and I have better pictures of it. These now are our onion or our pepper beds, and you can see that you notice the straight lines. Very important. Comp here? No? Any other farmers here? Good. Because everybody see the wiggle in it. But anyway, you notice that double rows of the peppers. We plant them so many, 5 sheets wide. This one only happened to have 3, but the next one I think was 5. So that we can get into them, and when we harvest, we're closer to the buckets and the wagon and everything else. We don't have to carry them, jump across so many plants. The tomatoes, we stake all our tomatoes, and we stake, and this picture was taken, we had put it on red plastic. They found that red is more conducive to keeping aphids off of tomato plants. However, the one thing they don't tell you is that red is also very conducive to weed growth under the plastic. And by the middle of the season, you have the plastic being pushed up by the weeds that are really growing lusciously underneath the tomato plants. So red works basically on tomatoes, and then there's silver for peppers and blue for eggplant and different colors. And there's been a lot of research done on it in plasticulture. We're going to get away from it. It just it works sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you can tell the difference, and sometimes you can't. And this is just, we also have a planter. We plant a lot into raised beds. Like I say, we do a lot of raised beds because it is so wet around here. I just came back from Arizona, and they couldn't understand that. Or they understood it, but they thought it's because we flood irrigated between the rows. And I said, we don't normally have to worry about it. That they didn't understand. Except they did this last week when they got a horrendous amount of rain. Here he could be planted. I don't know what he's probably planning on here. we've planted a lot of things with this planter, and here's a better picture of it. It's a vacuum planter. We can go across the field and we can plant, that planter will plant corn, beans, it'll plant small seed, onion seeds, it'll plant lettuce seeds, anything that's small. It has a plate in it that'll spin, the vacuum plants it, you can set the spacing, and it's a lot easier than planting it by hand, which I really don't want to do. All right, when we do this, it's all about season extension now in the farm business, especially in a fresh produce business. You know, you got about 3 months of the year when you can get some of these products grown. We need to extend that out to 6, 8 months if possible. So we will take and we'll do some season extension. These are row covers. This will protect the crop down to 26 degrees. We use these in the spring and we use them in the fall. We use them a lot to cover lettuce. We use them a lot to cover arugula, because that way the flea beetles will stay off of it and you'll have a nice perfect leaf instead of one that looks like it should have been Swiss cheese instead of arugula. And what we're moving into now is more of the high tunnels. The high tunnels are a perfect way, especially in our climate, to grow tomatoes, and we're going to try to move more of our tomato production into high tunnels simply because you get a better product, you get a higher grade out. In the field tomato, you get maybe 50%. In the high tunnels, you'll get up to 90% grade out, which means that you get more number ones, less going into culls or canners. So it's good for us, but not so good for the people who want to make tomato paste or you know, any similar products. We have 2 high tunnels. Hopefully we're going to put up 2 more this year. They're a single layer. As you can see here, they're a single layer. We can drive through them. The plants are planted in the ground, and the sides drop down for in the summertime when you want ventilation through there to kind of keep the fungus out. It keeps the plants drier, which is very necessary to prevent disease. A lot more disease control within these houses. You really don't have to do a whole lot to them because of the fact that they are not wet all the time like they are out in the field. And this will show you how tomatoes we had in the high tunnel. We staked them too. We put black plastic. It's just a black material that goes down between the rows to hold down the weeds. But they're staked too, and at that time when we had them, those tomatoes will grow about this tall. We've since this picture was taken, we've gone to a more determinate type tomato, which basically means it grows this tall and it doesn't grow any taller. Your heirloom tomatoes, Brandywine, big boys, are indeterminates. They'll continue to grow. So if you had them inside in your house, I've seen the vines 30, 40 feet long if they're allowed to grow continuously. They just keep pinching them off and dropping them down. We won't get into that. I have a crew of anywhere from 5 to 10 people that work during the summertime. This is part of them. We've been very fortunate this year, and we have an excellent crew. I use high school and college age kids. This year, like I think it's probably been the best crew we've ever had. They're really great kids. They really work their hearts out for you, and fortunately I don't have to pay them too much. But most of them are, most of them come back continuous to the time they're done with college and actually find other jobs. So I'm assuming that a lot of them that graduate this year will be back again this summer, just because of the economy. This is our old dairy barn, which we ran out of room. So in order to make things easier, and we need a packing shed, we cleaned it all out, ripped the stalls out, relaid concrete. Actually, we've taken and all the walls have been replaced, and we've turned that into our packing shed. Very important that you have a packing shed, because at the rate that we're growing, we pack a lot of stuff. You'd be surprised how much we get out of a field in a day. And they're packing here for the CSAs. Several of those, all those people except this young lady here are still with us. They'll be with us this next year. And they're packing radishes. It's probably for the early season or for the CSAs. This is one of the first markets we had at Ashtabula, which we started on Goodwill Drive. As you can see, it hadn't been repaired yet. It was kind of shaky start. There's only, I think, 5 of us. But it was a start that we liked. We had the blessing of all the merchants on Bridge Street, which I'm highly grateful for. And you guys can stand up at any time, just don't leave. You guys sit through the rest of it. But they've done a really good job, and we've worked really well with them. I think great bunch of people. And this is, again, this is when we moved over between Simon's Law Office and Bridge Street Pizza. This is 2 of the guys there, Reese Davis and Dennis Wade. They're across from us at the market. That way, and we have, I don't know, any given day we may have 7 to 9 vendors there now. There's just more pictures of Bridge Street, which I'm pretty partial to because they've done such a good job there and they've been such supporters of ours. This is our, and I think that was taken, well, the bridge was down, so it must have been taken not too long ago. Again, we do all kinds of, just showing you some of the diversity we have with the cabbage and the cauliflower, winter squash, peas, not all at the same time. Peppers. And of course, that's how we started off in Shaker. Now, this is a Shaker market, which we've now done 9 years. This will be our 10th year at Shaker. We started off on the sidewalk, just with a couple tables, 1 tent. Again, this is a early spring market here, showing you that some of the things we have, onions and radishes, early on. That upper picture is a later market. The farm markets were probably the best thing we ever did. As far as getting into the business, getting to know people, very important that you get into farm markets, you get to know people, you get your name out there, you get to yell at people. I'm the corn Nazi at Shaker. I'm the corn Nazi at, you want to make me mad? Strip my corn. Anybody here strip my corn? You should try it. See what happens. We normally on other things don't get upset, but strip my corn and find out. Please. I need some action there. The Shaker market goes 50 weeks a year. Come rain, come shine, or in this case, snow. And the people still come to the market. It's an event for them. That's what farmer markets have become. It's become an event. It's a social event. I have seen people, and they'll come in at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now this market opens at 8. There's people there at 7 o'clock in the morning, wandering around. Well, they want to get there first because they know the good stuff goes first. And that's very true in this situation. Excuse me. But this was, I think the week before Thanksgiving. It was supposed to have been fairly nice. Well, there's a fairly nice all over the ground there, but you notice that somebody took their baby carriage through there. They push their kids through, they don't care, you know. It's a social event. The indoor market, now we're starting the indoor market season. That starts the first weekend in December. Then it'll go until the end of March. They do move indoors for anybody that wants to go to it. We're next to CVS on Shaker Square. We have 2 storefronts in there. Probably 40 or so, maybe 50 vendors. You'll find greens there right now. A lot of people put them in high tunnels. We have greens in high tunnels right now. You'll find mushrooms there, a lot of storage crops, potatoes especially. We'll probably have winter squash for another couple of weeks. So I mean, there's still a fairly large variety, still fresher than what you're going to get in a grocery store, shipped up from wherever. And it's just showing you here one of our customers, Nancy, my wife Kay, on the left there. We're doing the potatoes, we do eggs, popcorn, which I'll get into a little later, and pecans, which I'll also get into a little later. But anything to fill a table. And we went from one table, part of a card table, to now we have 2 tables, and we're starting to crowd some of the other vendors, and they're getting a little upset with us, but we all crowd each other, so we're all pretty friendly about things. This is one thing we started growing this year that we hadn't in the past. Sunflowers. People in the city like flowers. They buy flowers. So you have more than one vendor there that sells flowers, but we started selling sunflowers this year. Almost sold out of them every time we took them in. Squash blossoms up on the right. Anybody stuff squash blossoms? Sue, I know you will. Yeah. They're wonderful. If you do it right, we have a big market for them to the point where we almost have to be careful sometimes and shut it down because you only use a male squash blossoms. They're bigger, and you don't want to use a female anyway because then you're just gonna use zucchini. We can use zucchini. We can use pumpkins. We can use cucumbers are too small, but usually zucchini and pumpkin blossoms. And then garlic, of course. Garlic's a hot item. Nobody ever has enough garlic. And then something that Mike Chayka would know a lot about, kohlrabi. Yeah, I'm picking on you. Kohlrabi happens to be, depending on when you hit the day at the market, you can get a lot of people buying kohlrabi. I don't know why, but you can. And this is where I just came back. I came back Monday night. We did a pecan harvest, our pecan harvest in Arizona. We own 4 acres with 2 acres of pecan trees. Pecan harvest did not go well this year. There's still 12 trees left to shake when I left because I've read about the snow and the rain they've had there. It's been cold. And it's just one of those things that it happens. It's like being a farmer anywhere. So being in Arizona doesn't say that you're not going to have the cold and rain. Back this machine here, you can see this tractor down here, and it's got a vibrator on it. You back it around the tree, grab hold of the tree, and vibrate it. The nuts fall off onto the tarps. You roll the tarps up, drag it to the next tree. When you get enough in there so you think you can't lift anymore, dump it in a bucket. Then we dump it in a cart, trailer, haul it to the sheller cleaner, which is just down a couple fields over from us. They sort them out. Now these ones right here, the ones in the bags are ready to go to be shelled. The ones down here need a second cleaning process. Now out of that bin, you may or may not get 10%. The rest of them, the shells are so hard and so connected, they won't break. And so they're basically wasted. They're good to grind and turn into compost. That's about all they're good for. Last 2 years, believe it or not, because of global warming, the last 3 years have not been good harvests. We plant a Wichita and a Western pecan. It's a long season pecan. We need to switch we should rip all those trees out and put new trees in. MacArthur or another shorter season variety. They've been having frosts in October, deep freezes in October, which is too short a season. It gets like it does light corn around here, and they never finish filling, so they're no good. So the last 2 years we've had the frost, and then this year, I don't know, it just wasn't a good yield for whatever reason. So we also do popcorn. If anybody has any questions, feel free to interrupt me at any time. But we also do popcorn. We plant 4 different varieties of popcorn: red, white, yellow, and red. Last year, there was no blue. So this year, We're hoping to get some blue seed too. But so we pack all the popcorn, our yellow and our white, really good. The blue and the red, excellent popcorns if you like a little more crunch. Has a better flavor to it, has a little more popcorn flavor to it. We also, on the bottom there, you'll see and this is a paid advertisement, thank you very much. We grind our popcorn meal. We grind our popcorn in a popcorn meal. We send it down to the Amish in Holmes County. They have a stone ground. They can stone ground popcorn for us. We sell a lot of that, along with our on-the-ear popcorn, which is up there in the upper left corner. We sell that to the bag. Take it out, put it in a paper bag, put it in the microwave, minute 30, 2 minutes. Comes out, you got popcorn on the ear. Kids love it. Yes?
What do you do with popcorn meal?
The same thing you do with cornmeal. It's basically cornmeal. Cornmeal can be ground out of a couple different items. It can be ground out of like number 1 yellow, number 1 whatever blue. Dent corn, or it can be ground out in our case, so like a flint corn. Has a little better flavor to it. We've got a lot of restaurants in Cleveland that use it, as opposed to the stuff they can buy out of the store, because ours is whole kernel. Okay, we don't separate the germ out or the oil out or anything else. You have to refrigerate this. Makes good coating for fish, for pork chops. Makes fantastic cornbread. Then I'll have to try it one of these days, but I think it does. Just checking. All right, we harvest popcorn. We have, I haven't figured that picture out yet, but anyway, we had to clean our cribs out. We got 6 cribs in a barn, in that barn that I showed you before, that we dry our popcorn in. It has to be dried on the ear. We dry it with fans. You can't dry popcorn much more above the ambient temperature, 10 degrees above it. You don't want it to crack, because if it cracks it won't pop. So we let it kind of naturally air dry. Then we shell it off the ear. We have a sheller that's probably older than most of us put together here. It's old John Deere sheller that John Smolin isn't here. I borrowed it from him several years ago. But yeah, and like I said, we got them segregated according to colors. This year's a very good year. Normally we can't start until February, starting to sell the new popcorn. This year we could start before Christmas. We actually had it dried down enough that we could do that. So, like I said, we're going to have red, yellow, and white this year. Blue hopefully next year again. Because we do sell a lot of blue meal. It kind of makes like the blue corn chips. And red kind of makes like the red corn chips. We do the food show. We wanted to get our name out there, especially with the popcorn and the pecans. And so we started here 4 years ago now, actually doing the food show. It is a great show if anybody gets a chance to go. You want to go see a lot of stuff. We like it. It's not a moneymaker for us. It's a very expensive show to do. You have to think twice about doing it. It'll cost you a couple $1,000 to do the show. But when you do those shows, you get to see a lot of people. Then you make contacts, and that's probably the reason we do it. And it's all about, in this business, it's all about contacts, because you're buying from people. You're not buying from, I'm not buying from Green Giant, I'm not buying from whoever else is out there. You're buying from Covered Bridge Gardens. So that's why we do this kind of stuff, to bring about, a one-on-one contact with the people that we do business with. This young man down here, and I had this explained to him, and I was actually explaining the popcorn to him. I had people come up to me at the food show that wanted to know why we glued those kernels to that stick. Now you laugh. And I looked at those people and I said, well, I won't tell you what I said. But anyway, I could not figure out what planet they came off of. But they were serious. They were serious. And we have pictures, and you can't see them very, back there you have my son and Josh out there. They're picking, when we picked it by hand. And they were wondering why, when they looked at the pictures, why would you go and number one, glue those kernels to that stick and then turn around and hang it on that plant? And if that happened one time, I'd say, stay right there. We'll have the doctors come and take you away. But there are 5 people that season that ask us that. So we have to go on the assumption that not everybody is as smart as we are, or would like to think we are. And there are some people out there that when you talk about them being born in the city, boy they are, and they've never got off their block. In more ways than one. Our biggest enterprise right now is our CSAs, Community Supported Agriculture. Last year we had 282 bags, which was a down year from the year before when we had 352, I think, which was a good thing. Last year was, farming-wise, for us anyway, was not such a good year. So it worked out real well for us. But these are our single couples packs. Right now you get a bag. We're packing those up. Then we will take and put them in crates, put them on trucks, and then haul them to any one of our 8 different locations. We run all the way from, on Wednesday, Cleveland City Hall, Avon Lake, and Lakewood. Thursday is Erie. Friday is Jefferson, Saturday is Shaker and Peninsula, Sunday is Ashtabula. And again, here they're packing what they are. They are packing the the CSAs. This is a picture of what was available in the single couple share. This is in Lakewood. That's my son Steve on the left over there, and we color code the crates so Dad doesn't get confused, even though the bags are white and blue. So you can see they're packing them. This was before we got everything a little more straightened out in the barns. Hanging in the background we're drying garlic there, because we do have a guy, Gordy Tressler in Dorset, does raise garlic for us. Because that's another business, and he's good at it, and we can farm that out. All right, this is just a general picture of our produce, our family, and our bags and our produce. We're also work together with Peters Creek Farm in Dorset, Mike and Diane Heener. They grow vegetables too, just like us. So we kind of merged the 2 farms together and kind of have a loose arrangement where we get stuff from them and we get stuff from us. And in a bad year like this year, it worked out really great because we had enough to satisfy everybody. This would be what a normal single couple CSA would consist of on any given day. It's going to change by the season or by the week, depending on what's more available that week. So you might end up with corn and beans and tomatoes one week, and you might end up with corn and bean and cabbage the next week. You never know. Nobody complains too much about corn. We do have a few people that are allergic to corn, and we do make that up to them. We have people that are allergic to certain things. We do make that, change out for them, tomatoes, some of the other crops that they can't eat. We do make allowances for that. And in a family one, which is a bigger pack, in this case I think you see peaches over there. We work with Smith's Fruit Farm on 84. They do the fruit. There's just certain things that you got to do, and one of them is that we're fortunate enough that we can go out. We've got other growers that are willing to sell us stuff that we can put in the bags, because people do like fruit. They like the apples, the peaches, blueberries. We do raise strawberries. Usually strawberries are out of season before we start the CSAs. There we are, passing out the bags. This is in Lakewood at the library. We work right at the main library in Detroit Avenue. Those are some of our customers. This is again at Lakewood. And this is in Erie. We have a drop at a bank in Erie. We started out, I think, with 12 people there. We had 38 this year, and they seem to be growing. Surprisingly enough, if you go down Route 5, there's a lot of growers there, but they don't have much of a marketing system in Erie. So we just filled that niche and go right in there and deliver there. And this is Steve Karras. He owns Pembroke Children's Learning Center. That's our drop-off point in Avon Lake. When we take our truck there, normally, appears that it's pretty empty. Normally on a normal day, the truck is jam-packed full. We also do a holiday pack. And a holiday pack comes the week before Thanksgiving. It's usually, as you can see in there's cauliflower, there's onions, and a lot of other things that we put in the pack for Thanksgiving dinner, winter squash and stuff like that, so that people can have something fresh for their holiday, their Thanksgiving meal. We've been doing that. We started that with the CSAs when we started doing it because we thought it'd be a good idea to help clean up some of the stuff that we had left over. Because the market at that time of the year, we're down to one market, possibly two now with Peninsula staying open later, but generally you're down to just one market. We did it at the Root Cafe this year, which was a really great thing because it was inside because it was kind of cold and nasty out, but they were good enough to let us in there. Educational tours are what we do. Also, this is a group of people that came out of Cleveland and a couple of them out of Ashtabula also. But we try to educate people. Everybody has this, city people have this idea of the American Gothic, you know. It's a romanticized idea, it's not reality. This is nasty, dirty, cold, wet work. Anybody that tells me any different lives in Arizona, and they found that out this past week, that I was right. And remember that, I'm always right. Again, we have a lady out of, works at Jones Day in Cleveland. She teaches a canning class for us. Marie Small at that time was working for Botanical Gardens. The Levine sisters, they started their own CSA. We started working with all these people, and that's me at the Botanical Gardens in Cleveland, working with one of their sites, one of their urban gardens. They were planting raspberries, I believe, at that point. But that's part of what we do. A lot of what we do is the educational part of it. Because everybody hasn't got a grandfather in a farm anymore. You know, we're so disconnected from farms. We make, a lot of times we'll make assumptions about how things are in a farm, and they're so far from reality that it's just ridiculous at some point. And this is a group from the Botanical Gardens. They came out to get peppers because they make a salsa, and we had them out there. And it's funny, the kids will get out there and they'll think they're out in the middle of the desert. They can't, most of them have never been out of the city. They get much past the 271-90 split, and they get nervous because they think you're taking them so far in the country they'll never find their way home, you know. And I'm serious when you know, it's funny. But after all this is said and done, I'm really getting tired. You know, by the end of the season I am really, really tired, and so I just have to say the heck with it, and hey. That's, by the end of the season, I'm just happy to be the end of the season. Have any questions?
How many acres do you plant?
There's 45 in vegetables. That's including sweet corn, potatoes, and the row crops. We're going to have to expand that because we're running out of room. I've got to do some more tiling this year, if we can.
How much do you buy from others for your market?
Probably 20%. Yeah, it usually ends up 20%. For the markets themselves, I need more to buy for CSAs than I need to buy for markets. Because normally for the markets we have more than enough of our own. But it's the CSAs that trying to drive us over. Yeah,
Nick, where's the CSA drop off in Ashtabula?
to market.
At the market?
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
You grow Brussels sprouts?
Unfortunately, yes.
You pull them up in the fall?
No, they're still sitting out there.
Because
Yeah.
we usually have them for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll keep them going all year round. Not all year round, I'm sorry. They love the cold weather. So until we get, in fact, I was going to go out here because we got a market Saturday. I was going out to see if they were still available, which I think they will be.
We pulled some up one time, gave it to a kindergartner. He skipped to school, the whole plant, and of course, no one knew what they were.
Yeah.
The teacher was so excited because she loved Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, in fact, they're best if they need to be frosted. If you get them and they're not frosted, they're not near as sweet, although I haven't figured that part out yet. Unless you guess I'm not a fan of Brussels sprouts. Do you have a question, Fred?
Oh, my wife works near West Side Market in
Yeah.
Metro, and do you have somewhere a listing in Cleveland where your markets are? So
Yeah, it's on the website. You can all go to the website, coveredbridgegardens.com. I also have some brochures up here if you're interested. But we're there, we're on Facebook. And the West Side Market, you work at the West Side Market?
No, she works at Metro Hospital.
Oh, okay, Metro, okay, yeah.
But it's close, so
Yeah.
she always goes there. I'd rather.
Well, yeah, because the West Side Market, contrary to what they tell you, is not a producer market. It's a reseller market. They haven't been a producer market for a number of years. They go to the dock, food terminal, and buy what nobody else wants, basically. Yeah?
I'm sorry if I missed it. Where are you guys located? And do you grow organically?
No, we're not organic. We're in Jefferson on Netcher Road. Yeah. Yes?
How much of a factor are fuel costs? You get items to Westside Cleveland, Erie, the cultivation process?
This past 2010, it wasn't a large factor. 2009, it killed us. This year, it may kill us again. I haven't decided quite what to do yet. We hit $4 gas. That van body you saw is 9 miles to the gallon. Or is it 9 gallons to the mile? One or the other. $4 fuel kills us. $3.50 diesel fuel kills us. Fuel is a big part of our expense. Not used to be. Fertilizer is a big part of our expense. With the run up in the price of corn and beans, wheat, fertilizer, the fertilizer producers look at that and they say, woo, here we go. Get on for the ride. Because it's averaging about $500 a ton for across the board. They're figuring it's going to go to $750 before spring. So it's a big problem.
At a local marketing level, I would assume your customers understand or appreciate the detail of a price to compensate for fuel.
Yeah, they don't like it, but they understand. Well, the fallacy is that they think that just because it's local, it should be cheaper. The big fallacy is that if you're a grower in Arizona, Florida, Texas, California, with thousands of acres and mechanized to the point that, the per unit cost is really low. All those kids that I've got there, the best investment we made so far was a bean picker. You can pick about a 5-gallon bucket, if the picking's good, about a 5-gallon bucket in half an hour. Okay, if it's good. With the bean picker, it takes longer to drive to the field than it does to pick that 5-gallon bucket. So you have to look at that, the efficiencies of hand picking, and that's why I tell people, this is not, the mass-produced vegetables that you grow in a store, where they've got it's no different than combining corn or anything else. It's efficiencies of scale, and what we're doing is for the direct market. Yes, Candy.
Do you sell to restaurants?
Yes. Sell to, how many are Iron Chef fans? Anybody? Oh, you can tell me, I don't care. Sell the Lolas, Lolitas, Fire, Flying Fig, Lucky's in Cleveland, Muggs in Jefferson. Nick Costello out in Austinburg, we'll sell to Nick. So yeah, we do have, we have selected restaurant clients. Yeah. Usually the ones that I get along with real well. Well, we have a comp deal going, you know. I feed you, you feed me, you know. I get to be a big shot, go in and eat a really fancy restaurant, cheap. Yes?
Have you thought about going organic?
No. No.
Charge more because
No. And I'm saying that because no, they don't. I get the same price organic people get. Organic, you got a lot of problems with organic. Contrary to popular opinion, again, and here I'm going to get on my soapbox, so anybody that feels like knocking me off, go right ahead. You want the latest in medical care, you want the latest in dental care, latest in computers, you want the latest in cars, but you expect me to go back and farm the way I did 100 years ago. No. Not going to do it. It's not better for the earth. The produce isn't better. There's a lot of hype goes on about it, that when you really, there's a book called Whole Earth Dilemma by Stuart Brand, who was one of the eco people from the 70s. If you get a chance, read it. He's going to debunk a lot of what has been pushed on us. And it's really interesting reading, especially for people that are on the edge as far as organic or conventional goes. Yes?
Where do you get your eggs?
Mike Keener. Yeah. They grow the chickens. Yeah. You would. Yeah. You got me. Yes.
What's the split in your crop between percentage of fruit and vegetables?
Probably 20%. When you say in fruit, what we do raise our own raspberries. We do have our own watermelon, cantaloupes, or muskmelon. So it's probably 15%. And then the apples, the peaches, blueberries, we get them from other producers. Yeah. We started our own blueberries. They need to be a couple years older before we'll be able to get anything off of them. They take a while. Anybody else? All right, security, open the doors. Thank you.
Very briefly, obviously, just wanted to thank Mick. That it was a very a good presentation for some of us who are quasi-city folk. It is certainly a good introduction to some of the specifics of what he does and what's available from a CSA. Just a couple of quick reminders. He does have literature. It's right here. He wasn't lying. So please stop by. Also visit his website. Just for people's own reference, when does the CSA season start?
The season will start, we're taking applications right now, starting our applications right now. I think we're going to do 400 this year. That's the theory anyway. You can sign up anytime from now until the day we start. Because normally, unless we hit that 400 number early, we'll keep them open. It's not a real problem, but I wouldn't wait. Because I need the money now. I'm like JG Wentworth.
All right. So otherwise, thank you all for coming today. Hopefully, we will see many of you next month, where it will be my turn to be on the hot seat for next month's presentation. So, thank you.